All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Matt, Play Fast Football. All right, today we're going to do a video on moving on defense or not moving on defense, or the style of defense that you choose to play, and maybe the how or why, or the kind of the need to do things a certain way as opposed to maybe the want to do things a certain way. All right, so as I said, we just finished our season up, finished up 5-5, didn't make the playoffs, lost. The positive thing was our 5 losses were all very good football teams. This past Friday just lost to a 9-0 football team that is very good, and we'll start the playoffs this week. And we lost to, I believe, 2 8-2 football teams, a 7-3 football team. So, there's some positives coming from that when you're losing to good football teams, but at the end of the day, you're still losing. So you've got to look at the whys and the hows, and this is the time of year when you start looking at those things. So I'm going to talk to you today about some of the things we had to do and why we had to do them within our defense, that are things that maybe I don't always want to do, but you get stuck having to do certain things based on your roster and injuries and necessity and the teams you're playing against. All right, make sure you check out our sponsors. All right, GameStrat. In the description box below, I will leave a link that takes you directly to GameStrat's website. It's the sideline replay system we use. It's the #1 choice for coaches looking for the most reliable, most affordable sideline replay system. I absolutely love the system itself, and I love how customer friendly those guys are. So make sure you check out GameStrat Football. They will also be a vendor at our 2020 Play Fast Football Clinic. Difference USA, the ultimate striking machine. We have one in our weight room, and it's going to be a huge part of our offseason because we've got to get better in the trenches. We've got to strike better. We've got to be able to take blocks on, and we've got to be able to block people up front on offense. And basically, on both sides of the ball, we got to get a little bit better at playing football and a little bit less dog and pony, smoke and mirror orientated in the offseason. That's our goal. So the Difference USA is the ultimate striking machine. Work on hand placement, work on having your elbows in, work on your eyes where they need to be when you strike, and coming out of a stance, and all the explosive things that you need to deliver an effective strike. And you don't need a partner. You don't need anybody holding a hand shield or a dummy. You can use your weight room, which is where we have ours, or you can bring them out on the field, and they can be attached to devices that you have, or equipment that you have out on your football field with universal attachments. So make sure you check out Difference USA, the ultimate striking machine. Just Play Football, which is the digital software that I use. All right, when I am drawing plays, it's the only play drawing tool that I use. Just Play is digital software to help take your program to the next level. They've got a lot of things that they do within a football program in their software, and I use it as a diagram tool for me when I'm speaking at clinics or I'm presenting webinars. But I'm in the off season. I'm going to look into using it further with my program. I think they've got a great product, and I think I am missing out on a lot of things that I should be doing with their product that I should be using. But right now, it's the only play drawing diagram or play diagramming tool that I use. So check out Just Play Football. Defensive Coordinator 1, which is an in-game app that allows you to chart a game live. All right, you've got the app, you've got it on an iPad upstairs, you're charting the game live, you're now charting your calls, what the opponent's doing. You're able to make adjustments based on what's actually happening live in-game, all right, and you're able to make quality adjustments, not guesswork, but more things to look at what's actually happening, what they're running, the personnel they're using, what you're using. If we were talking about movements or pressures, or maybe some movement that has been good, maybe some movement that hasn't been good, you've already got a template built based on scouting reports and the teams that you're playing. So you've already got the template built. Now you log the game and you start looking drive by drive and start seeing, hey, we're really getting gashed to the weak side, or we're really getting hurt to the strong side, or the field side of the boundary side, or hey, they're checking and going into the boundary a bunch, so our field side movements have not been very good. We got to stay away from those. It's a way to make adjustments by taking the guesswork out and actually using the live in-game data to make those adjustments. They will also be at the Play Fast Clinic, and Jeff Sauer, who runs a company and developed the app, will be there to demo it, how you would go through using it in the game. So we're excited to have them down in January in St. Augustine at the Play Fast Clinic as well. And then, as always, Dome Hats, which is major sponsor of Play Fast Football. Dome Hats is one of our 3 major sponsors putting on the Play Fast Football Clinic. So I'm proud to be a client and a partner of Dome Hats. We had some of our hats made this year. Our 2 different hats that we had for Orange Park were both Dome hats. They are great hats. We have a white and an orange one and a gray one. They've got a custom online hat builder that is phenomenal. that lets you generate and design your own hat. All right, every hat has a story. Why don't you let Dome help you tell, all right, your hat story by creating a custom quality hat for your football program, business, baseball program. They want to be in every sport, every state, every staff. So why not check out Dome Hats? They will also be at our clinic in January. You can go to www.domeheadwear.co to check out the custom and quality hats, beanies, and visors that they have, and the online custom hat builder that you can use to generate your hat. All right, so today we're talking about to move or not to move. All right, I was always taught very simply when I first learned defense when I was a graduate assistant at St. John's University in New York from a guy named Joe Delgaze, who is still a coach on Long Island. He always said, start in base defense first, never move right away. If you move right away and can't stop somebody, you have nothing else to go to. If you start by teaching a base defensive structure with run fits and coverages tied together and block destruction and block reaction, and you cannot stop somebody, now you can move, stunt, pressure, all right? And then from there, if you can't, then you just shake hands, all right? But if you start a game with multiple movements and multiple pressures and you cannot stop somebody, you don't really have a lot to go to. If the first thing you teach a kid is movement patterns, then it's very hard to teach them how to play base and how to play block reaction and block destruction. So normally for me, I am a base defensive guy first. We're going to start with our base front, how we play it, how we fit runs, how we tie the coverages into the run fits, and then we are going to build movements off of that. All right, so for us, for those of you that have watched the, if you followed the videos I've done for the last 2 years, you know that we went from a 4-2-5 to a 3-3 stack. All right, 2 questions I get all the time. Do you move a bunch? Well, the answer to that is no. I don't. This year we moved more and did more than we did last year because we had to, and that's what part of this video is going to be about. And are you a 1-high team? No, we're not. We're a 2-high split field coverage team. So we still play split field coverage with our 6-man box, and we do not move right away in our 6-man box. We fit runs with this 6-man box, all right, and then our 7th and 8th player based on the coverages we're in, and we fit our 6 guys in the box. We have, all right, a block destruction, all right, block reaction way of teaching things and fitting runs to our guys. And our nose is a guy that moves simply because of who it is and how we like to play the nose. If our nose was a bigger person, I would play him head up and I would play him behind the blocks of the center, and I would have the mic fit off of that. Because we have had some smaller people at nose, we have had to move the nose, and then the mic's reads and the mic's fit are based off the guard away from the side that the nose is moving. All right. Our ends and our anchors are heavy 5 techniques, and we played with 2 different ones, or actually 5, 6 different ones this year, but the last 3.5 years I've been fortunate enough to have a kid playing end for me that is going to play Division I football at Liberty University, 6'1", about 6'1", about 265 pounds right now. Really good, really productive player. He played in a 5, sometimes looser, sometimes thicker, based on his ability and the teams we were playing. He was able to dent blocks instead of just spilling. He was able to dent fullbacks and make plays. All right. On the other side, we played with a little bit thicker 5 technique that was a traditional spill player. Down block, we've got a spill, wrong arm. All right, that's how we play with our 5 techniques. And then we fit our runs off of the 5 techniques with the stack backers. And we basically, if we got any blocks out by the tackle, we were B-gap fitters. If we got any blocks down, we were scrape replace unless we got a guard pull. Then we were a backside cutback player if we got a power scheme. All right, but we start with a split field coverage, 8-man front, depending on if we see, which everybody sees now, a lot of 11 or 20 personnel wide off, or what you would consider twins open. We start playing 8-man fronts. How we're going to get to that, all right, we're going to play our palms or our 2-read to that side, and then to this side, we are going to have an 8th man down somehow, some way. All right, it doesn't matter how we do it, whether it's a sky, a cloud, a hard cover 2 corner, a slice technique. There's going to be an 8th man coming down to that weak side, and we are going to get into old-fashioned 8-man front football. All right, that's what we do. That's who we are. That's how we play. Okay, so that's how we want to play. That's what we want to do in general. That's what we did last year on defense that led us to have a lot of success on defense. This past year, we gave up about 270 yards a game, about 130 on the ground, 140 in the air. Gave up about 24 points a game. 1 or 2 games skew that. We actually had, we had 3 games that we gave up over 40 points, and then we had 3 games that we gave up less than 12 points. So those numbers start to get skewed a little bit in high school based on your talent, the talent of the teams you're playing, and how games go. And that's with anybody's stats. Everybody's stats get skewed based on highs and lows, and you're trying to look for averages and somewhere in the middle. But our defensive numbers were not as good this year, all right? And there's a couple reasons for that. This is how we want to play defense. This is how we would like to play defense, okay? What we ended up having to do more often than not this year is we had to move a bunch, all right? We had to go to an even 4-man front package more often than we wanted to. And when we were in our odd stack, we had to move a bunch simply because injuries, roster, talent, all right? We got to a point, okay, where right, our nose guard was a 10th grade kid, and he was 165 pounds, and he's probably 5'6" at best, okay? Our anchor on this side, all right, we had 2 to 3 different ones that we played, and each one of them, all right, was 180 pounds or less. And then we had our dude that was over there, all right, playing at the left end. Everybody tried to double, triple him, run away from him, all right? He was that guy for 3.5 years, great player, going to miss him. He's going to be a great college player. He's a great kid. But then behind that, all right, now, this was a new player. The nose was a new player, all right? We rotated 2 different noses. We had a returning nose that was about 180 pounds, about 5'8", and then we had a 10th grade nose that we had to finish the season with, all right, that is about 5'6", 165 pounds. Both kids were short, both were really quick, both really strong in the lower body, all right. Our anchors were all new players. We played 3 or 4 different ones. They were all new players from last year's team, all right. Our line that we started the year with, okay, our line that we started the year with was 155 pounds, returning player, but not a returning starter, all right. Our Mike linebacker is a 10th grade kid that's about 175 pounds. And our Ram linebacker is an 11th grade brand new starter, okay, and he was about 180 pounds. All right, our right safety is about 175. Our left safety was a free safety, was supposed to be a free safety in our defense, but based on some things that happened in the offseason, he had to become a down safety. And he is a regional wrestler, state wrestler, and he's probably going to qualify somewhere in the 155 to 160 pound range. My free safety, all right, was a brand new starter, 11th grade kid, great kid, but our free safety is about 5'6", all right, and he's probably 145 pounds at best. All right, so why do I go through those things? All right, it's not to get anybody to feel sorry for us. It's not to make excuses. Football in high school is a game of need to, all right, and have to over want to. There's a way that I want to do things, all right, and then there's a way that I need to do things. When you look at the types of players that we have, and you look at the fact that our noses and our anchor aren't very big, all right, and you look at the fact that we had linebackers that were under 180, one was 155, and our down safeties that are the 7th and 8th man in the box were 155 and 175, and our free safety, who was an extra fitter based on how things were blocked, or if we played quarters, would be an extra fitter, or maybe a guy that spins down in certain things, he's 145 pounds, okay? So the reality of that is, okay, and the reason I go through that is the nature of the beast tells me that we cannot sit here and play our base defense all night long, all right? With those players in the game, there is no way we can sit and play our base defense all night long. We'll never hold up. We'll never hold up to base runs and 2-back runs. It just won't happen, okay? So what do we have to do? We had to start moving. We had to start creating ways to cover up some things, okay? So one of the first things we did is we would use America's Blitz, all right? And we would long stick. We'd bring the Mike, bring the Ram off the edge, and we actually would play this, all right, 4 under, 2 deep. Okay, and we would usually do it from the field. This would come from the field, all right, and we would have the A gap covered, the B gap covered, the C gap covered, all right. Basically what became the D gap player simply because in high school with the ball on a hash mark, this guy was a trap corner, all right, who technically should be the force player. Very rare does the field side corner get a chance to force a lot of plays in high school football. So we actually had the down safety there, all right, as an extra player. So to that side, we actually technically gained a player. It was to this backside where we had, all right, C gap, A gap. we had an open B gap, had to be fit by the hook curl dropper or the the underneath part of the pressure there. And then this trap corner had to be an immediate into the boundary D gap player for us to get a realistic 8-man front, for us to put a body, all right, in every gap. Okay, so this is one of the things we had to do. We had to move, all right, to kind of occupy some gaps. Now, here's the good and the bad with that. When you're moving, you have to understand how to move. So we had to understand this long stick has to understand where he needs to get to based on the block of that guard. And this Mike needs to understand what's going on based on the block of the guard and that tackle. And this edge player needs to understand what's going on. All right, last game of the year, we played a team, very good running game, ran some wide zone on us, and this edge guy is getting reached by the tackle on wide zone. It defeats the whole purpose of the movement. You need to send that thing back into the Mike blitzing, all right, and the long stick, and then the scrape player. Okay, so how to move and where you're moving, and teaching kids how to move. This nose has to get across into this A gap and cannot get throttled down by a down block of the guard and blocked 2 gaps over, because that's going to expand the B gap, all right, away from the pressure side. So when you move, you got to be able to teach kids how to move. You got to teach kids how to hit things, all right, a certain way. You got to teach them how to read what's going on within the blocking scheme so that you can fit all those things. All right? So we are just trying to create some movement up front, all right, to change how they block things, to get our guys on the move so we're not sitting there at 170 pounds, okay? But when you do that, sometimes you move into good situations, sometimes you move out of good situations. A lot of teams would, all right, they would find where the extra down safety was, and they would check some runs, and they would get the ball run back, all right, to the weak side over here. So when you start to move, now teams that can check, all right, they start to run away from the movement if you're tipping where you're moving from. Your tendency says you're a field pressure team, okay? When you are not very big, a lot of times either this long stick or especially this Mike backer, when he blitzes and he gets gapped down by a tackle, a lot of times when 260 gaps down on 170, a lot of times this gets washed even further in here and you create bigger running rooms. So bigger running lanes, sorry. So you're moving because you can't sit there and play base defense, but you have to understand that while you're moving, there is a risk reward to your movements. All right? Yes, you're trying to get these guys on the move because they're not very big. You're trying to disrupt blocking schemes. You're trying to make some plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. But when you move, it's always going to be a risk-reward type deal. Okay? One of the other things we had to do, all right, was we had to use some 6-man hots, all right, not for passing game stuff, just to recreate that 8-man front to get our guys kind of moving around because we were undersized. So we had to kind of use some of the, I guess everybody does it now, but originally it was Michigan State stuff, and some of these 6-man pressure, 2 underneath, 3 deep zone stuff, just so that we could get some things. All right, just so that we could get some things kind of moving around up front, so that we could crossfire a little bit and send the Mike first in the B gap with the Lion behind him. All right, maybe the following week we would send the Lion first with the Mike behind him. All right, maybe the following week on the back side of it we would stay as a 5 technique and walk up and be a B gap guy there. But the bottom line is we were just trying to create some movement to still play 8-man front football. Okay, to still play 8-man front football, to get this nose to spike and move because that's what he does best, to get this lighter end to be moving because that's what they did best, and then to get our linebackers some matchups that were advantageous to them being younger and undersized because we couldn't just sit there and fit runs all day long. All right, so we would go to some 6-man hot pressure stuff to recreate the 8-man front. Why? We had to, okay? At some point in high school, it's going to be a have to as opposed to a want to. Okay? Football will always be a game of dudes. All right? I like to tell people all the time, you've never one time in a Kentucky Derby have you seen the jockey carry the horse across the finish line. It's the same thing in football. It is a game of dudes. And in high school, more often than not, football is a game of haves and have-nots. All right? Most of the areas that you're in, you can pick on one hand the schools that are going to have a chance to do anything in the state playoff system and the schools that have probably never had a chance. I grew up on Long Island, okay? And when you go back to and watch football on Long Island for the last 40 years on Long Island, when you go conference 1, 2, 3, 4, normally within those 40 years you can pick on one hand the schools that normally have a chance in conference 1, conference 2, conference 3, conference 4. It's changed a little bit here and there, but for the most part, all right, if you go to the last 10 years, conference 1 on Long Island's been the same 4 to 5 schools every single year, because high school becomes haves and have-nots. So as a coach, you have to understand that it becomes more have to, not want to. We all go to clinics. I'm hosting my own clinic. We love going to clinics and sharing information. I do this channel to kind of share information and not only help other coaches, but help myself figure out what's right for us. And every time I do a video, I learn what I should be doing or could be doing better. All right, but at the end of the day, you got to understand, all those clinics and all those things are great, but in high school, it's going to be more of a have to than a want to. I can sit down and go and say, this is how I want to play defense. This is how I want to play offense. I can iron all that in the offseason, and I can go visit places, go to clinics, and go to college and say, yep, that's the blueprint. That's how we want to play. At some point, that's going to go out the window, and I'm going to get down to how do I have to play, okay? So some point you're going to get to, all right, a deal where you have to move, okay? And when you move, all right, you have to understand the risk and the reward of moving, but you have to be able to do those things. All right, one of the other things that we would do, is we would also get ourselves into a situation where we would play our robber coverage. And again, I know I'm only drawing up twins open. There's so many things we see, 1 back, 2 back, and you know, it just makes it easier when you're drawing stuff up to make it consistent. All right, but for us, okay, we would get into a situation where we would move the front one way and get ourselves into an over or under front, however you want to look at it. All right, we would play man-to-man on the skills. We would play a bracket man-to-man deal here, okay, and then we would play a left safety and a free safety, 8x2, playing in what we would call a robber or quarters technique, all right, and that's how we were trying to get extra helmets. But again, at the end of the day, we were trying to get 8 guys involved in run fits. Why? We had to. All right? We couldn't play with any less than 8. We had to get 8 guys involved in run fits. Defense is always about sending the ball where you want to and having +1 in the fit somewhere, getting the ball sent to a free hitter. Right? That's never going to change. When you get to a situation sometimes in high school where you just can't man up and play people because of size, talent, ability, whatever it may be, now you always have to get into things to find a way to get extra players. This was always a way for us to move the front. So now we got our lighter guys moving. We're stunting a little bit. We're making it easy on these 2 to fit because we're just telling them, hey, you're bracketed man. You fit where you need to be. You guys can be extra aggressive in the run fits, but you also are going to spin and play high hole, low hole in the passing game. Okay? So on paper, it was good. It was movement up front. It was 8-man front football in essence because there were 8 helmets ready to go. It was man stuff to take away some RPOs. Okay? But at the end of the day, it's all risk-reward. All the movements and all the stuff, it's risk-reward. All right? You have to move into some good things, but then you're probably going to move out of some good things. You're going to move into some good plays, but then you're going to move out of some good plays. All right? But the reason behind this video today is to let you know that sometimes you have to do things a certain way, and they're different than how you want to do things. You know, sometimes you may have to be an odd team, even though you're an even front guy. This year, towards the end, the middle to the end of the year, we had to be an even front team, even though I wanted to be odd, and even though we cut our teeth last year and made ourselves a better defensive football team as an odd team, I couldn't play the odd stuff I wanted to play this year. All right? I had to play more even front stuff. That's just the nature of the business. All right? So you have to be able to make those changes. You got to know how to make those changes. And at the end of the day, on offense, defense, or special teams, especially in high school, you got to find ways. Dog and pony, smoke and mirror, tricks, everything you can do to stay competitive in games, because a lot of times in high school, games are decided in January. All right, and it's not much different in college. There's been the same 2 most dominant programs in college for the last 4 or 5 years. It's been Alabama and Clemson. Why? They got the best players. Well, who's in the top 3 or 4 with them? Ohio State. Why? Because they got the next best players. All right, so it's the same thing in college. It's the same thing in high school. There's a reason the NFL Combine has huge ratings. There's a reason free agency and trades in the NFL are such a big deal. And there's a reason everybody follows Rivals and all these other 247 and ESPN. There's a reason people follow 4- and 5-star players. Everybody knows at the end of the day, better players win games. Well, in high school, sometimes you have a roster that's here. You're going to play a roster that's there. Nobody cares that the two rosters aren't even close. You got to figure out a way to take this roster and compete with that roster. So, how are you going to do it defensively? You probably got to move a little bit. You probably got to pressure a little bit. You probably got to do some things that aren't as conducive to what you would like to do. All right, and sometimes maybe put yourself in a situation where you are not as schematically sound as you would like to be, but you have to roll the dice and take those chances. All right, remember to check out our sponsors, okay? Remember to click the subscribe button. Remember to click the notification so you know every time a video comes out. Remember to like or dislike the video. I respond if you comment. All right, thumbs up, thumbs down, and then give a comment. I respond to almost every comment that's there. I love the interaction. These are all my opinions. If you disagree with my opinion, that is totally fine. That's what we're here for. Remember to check out www.playfastfbclinic.com for the first ever Play Fast Football Clinic, January 24th, 25th, 26th, 2020, St. Augustine, Florida, right on the ocean, Embassy Suites. Go to the website, www.playfastfbclinic.com. Check out how to register, how to book a room at the Embassy Suites, how to be a vendor, all the good stuff that you need, all right? I appreciate everything you guys do for me. I appreciate you being a part of Play Fast Football on this channel. Remember, you won't play well till you play fast. I'll catch you guys next time.